So I want to start out with a story about myself. I've told this a number of different places, but I think it gives you a sense of how that we can make meditation a part of our daily life. We come to the monastery and we do the repentances, recite the Buddha's name, meditate, but this is a rehearsal for our real life, right? We are coming to the monasteries, it's so beautiful. We're reciting the Buddha's name so we don't fight, right? It's very peaceful. But then we go home, and then we see our spouse, and they give us a look, like, why are you wasting your time? Or how come you didn't wash the dishes? Or whatever it is, and there's a fight, right? Or your kids don't do their homework, and there's a fight. And what I see is, here in the Buddha Hall is a rehearsal room, so that when we go out into our life, we can actually embody the wisdom and compassion of the practice. And so that's why in the beginning I introduced Guanyin Bodhisattva. One aspect is the Guanyin Bodhisattva that we pray to, Guanyin Bodhisattva on the screen, I think still there. And then the other Guanyin Bodhisattva is in our heart, returning to the one who listens. Okay, so I was going to tell a simple story. I won't go into great depth because this could take a while, but I told you how I grew up in Silicon Valley and I became discouraged by the success, materialistic society and wanted to find another path. And to make a long story short, my econ teacher showed a video of a monastery. It's a Catholic monastery. And when I saw the monks in this documentary, I say it's love at first sight. I said, that's what I want to be. I want to be a monk. So I was very excited. I went home and I told my mom. I remember telling my mom, Mom, I figured out my purpose in life, right? I think you should be extremely happy for me. So I told her, Mom, I want to be a monk. I tell you, that is not what Silicon Valley moms want. Immediately her face dropped and she became very angry. And our relationship became very tense for about 2 or 3 years. Right? So I was a lot of conflict because I knew in my heart, this is what I want to do. But my mom was against it. And so in the beginning, I always say I put a lot of pressure on myself in cultivation. I would go to meditation sessions at CTTB and really push myself. People know the meditation sessions at CTTB, especially before, was tough. Go from 4 a.m. to 12 a.m. 1 hour meditation, 2 hour meditation sits. And the emphasis is sit in full lotus, do not move, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this because in my heart, I had a lot of pressure. I said to myself, if I'm walking this path and I'm hurting my parents, I better give this my full heart. So I remember at that time during the Chuan sessions, very tough. So I'd be meditating and be 1 hour sit and then 20-minute walking. And when I'm walking, I feel like I'm in a boxing ring. It's like, okay, round one, first round, okay. Me and my mind, mano di mano, let's go. Okay, first round, okay, I can do 1 hour. Okay, second round, Third round, I don't know, this is pretty tough. There's like 12 or 13 rounds every day, okay? And it's for 21 days. So I tell you, you come home at the end of the day and I'll tell you, my body's like broken. I have so much pain. I'm just going back, oh, wow, this is so hard. So I'll tell you a couple more stories because over time there was a switch. And from there, I want to tell you some of our reflections on meditation. I'll tell you the story in brief. So why I was in conflict for 2 or 3 years was because I wanted to walk this path and really push myself. And later, I had a chance to talk with Rebbe Heng Shi to get his advice. And in Berkeley, I asked him, what should I do with my life? What should I do with my life? And he told me a response that really took me by surprise. He said to me, you need to listen to your mom more. your mom is very strong. What I didn't know was that my mom, maybe a week ago, had called Reverend Heng Shi on the phone and scolded him for 2 hours, telling him, "You're stealing my son. How can you be doing this?" So I remember I heard that from my mom, from Reverend Heng Shi, and I was very surprised because I thought to myself, what? How can I listen to my mom more? I want to cultivate the way, and she doesn't want me to do it, right? But I thought, okay, Reverend Heng Shi is very wise, and he's a monk, so I need to take his advice. So what did I do? I went to get the book Standards for Students. I think people know that one, my 弟子规, right? And so I said, okay, so maybe I need to learn how to be a better son. So the first part in the 弟子规 says, when your parents call, immediately respond, right? So, okay, well, that's interesting. Usually my mom calls me, I'm at my desk using my computer, maybe playing video games. Although that time when I started meditating, I stopped playing video games. But doing whatever I'm doing. And mom says, dinner time. And I say, okay, coming. Mom says, dinner time. I say, coming. Maybe 10 minutes later, I'm still using my computer. I hear my mom stomping, boom, 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 walking in to get me, right? David, come out. I said, Mom, I told you I'm coming. Why are you so angry? And I come out. The first one was when parents call, immediately respond. So my mom says, David, time for dinner. I drop whatever I'm doing, immediately respond. I tell you, for the kids here, this is the antidote for all nagging. If you just immediately respond, your parents will stop nagging you. And it's a lot less pain, right? And what I found was that when I did that, I started to reflect, why did I not go earlier? My mom's cooking, why don't I go and help out by washing the dishes? I can't cook, but I can help out, right? And so what I found was, over time, my parents saw that I prioritized their needs over my needs, my wants. And I tell you, that was very good for cultivation and very good for living in the monastery. Because in the monastery, we're cultivating the Dharma, not for ourselves, but for all living beings. When parents scold you, patiently listen. That's also not easy. Oh, no, leaving home has a very good job security. Tell your mom doesn't want to hear that. Yeah. So I said, okay, Mom. So my mom, would scold me, you're wasting your life. I think I failed as a mom. I give you too much freedom. How can you be doing this with yourself? And I said, Mom, being a monk is a lot of job security. I tell you, Mom didn't want to debate, right? So what I learned was listen patiently with respect. That's why I listened, and I said, Mom, I hear you really care about me. You really care about me. I said, I also really care about you. I really care about the family. So in the Dharma realm, Master Hua gave us the 6 great principles. The first one is not fighting, right? So we don't fight in our hearts. We don't follow our opinions and views. We first listen. We listen with kindness and compassion. And so this is a training. And what I want to share with you is how do we take the meditation practice, which I think is actually a very deep listening, and take it into our everyday life. With that introduction, I made this chart with ChatGPT this morning. I thought it might be nice to have a visual. What Jing Weisher and myself, reflecting on how to teach meditation in these modern times, came up with these 4 different categories: somatic listening, empathic listening, panoramic listening, and sacred listening. So I'll give you a brief description of each of these and then explain how we can practice it. I won't have time to go into depth because it's just this morning, but usually if we do a week-long retreat, we would spend either a day or even a whole month on just one of these types of listening. And our experience is that this kind of listening doesn't just apply to meditation. It also applies to recitation. It also applies to mantras. It applies to all aspects of our life. So first one, somatic listening, is listening to the body. What's going on in the body? For our Theravada brothers, right, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. First foundation, right, mindfulness of the body. Body in the body. Can we just anchor ourselves in the body? For Guanyin Bodhisattva, can you imagine Guanyin Bodhisattva tense? Angry? No. Completely, her hands out, Guan Zizai, totally relaxed. Right, so that's the first practice when people come to the monastery. We say, just relax, okay? Whatever happens, relax. Relax. You make a mistake, no problem, relax. There's a story, the former Dharma Master Heng Chao, now Marty, tells that really made a big impact on me. He said, at one point he was driving with Venerable Master on the car. They were sitting in the back seat. He says it was a time before seatbelts, or required to wear seatbelts. So they were sitting in the back, and Venerable Master was just sitting in full lotus on the chair, reciting his mantras, just doing what Venerable Master does. And Marty was sitting next to him, also trying to meditate and looked very awesome, I'm meditating. And he said, all of a sudden, the car came to a sudden stop. And so, just said Marty, out of instinct to protect Venerable Master, he put his hand out to catch Master Hua, so he doesn't hit the chair in front. And he says Master Hua's body hit his hand. He said he was amazed. Master Hua's body was like silk, so soft, so supple. He says Marty was a martial artist, so he learned Taoism and all these different external and internal martial arts. He said from that physical touch, he realized what he had to cultivate inside. Just from that one touch, just wow. Right? So for us, that's the first ground for this somatic listening. Can we make our body soft? And also, can we make our body upright? Not like this, not depressed and kind of, it's upright, it's strong. Or you see Venerable Master is not looking depressed. Right? Guanyin Bodhisattva is not, it's kind of slanted, upright, strong, but totally relaxed. You need to relax. First foundation of mindfulness. So I'll give you a very simple method. What we found that if you can actually maintain this body awareness, breathing in, extending the spine, exhaling, relaxing in the body, 50 to 70% of our afflictions and our worries dissipate. They just disappear. Because what we found is oftentimes we have a thought in our mind, like, how can he treat me like that? And our body tightens up. And our mind reads the tension in our body and adds more affliction. And there's a cycle between our mind and our body that becomes this kind of mutual feedback loop that actually creates a lot of affliction. If you remove the body's tension, it's very hard to get angry. Very hard to get angry, right? Try it. Try to get really angry when you're totally relaxed. I tell you, it's almost impossible. Your body doesn't want to do it because you realize getting angry is so painful. The body is like in a lot of tension, right? So it's a very helpful way to just maintain a well-grounded life by just tuning into the body. So if you meditate, right, you can use the breath or you can recite the Buddha's name. But we usually tell people, first thing you do, make sure your spine is straight and your body is relaxed. And at any point in your meditation, you find that you're not body straight and relaxed, then just take a breath, straighten the body, exhale, relax. We found this is very, very important. When I talked before about the meditation session at CDB, the way you break through the pain is not that you break through the pain. It's not through fighting. Like I said, I was going in a boxing match with my mind. It's actually through relaxing. When you really relax, the energy in the body naturally starts to flow. And you find that the body has its own wisdom, has its own kind of intelligence. And we start to tap into that. So what you do is you take the body, and you're just aware of the pain. You don't add anything to the pain. You just relax. You relax into the sensation. And what you'll find, the sensation starts to multiply, starts to create all these different energetic fields, and it becomes a way that actually supports your cultivation. So in this place, if you can actually be mindful of the body's sensations and not create suffering around it, that's real freedom. How much of our life is running away from pain? Right? Here in Malaysia, it's quite hot. And a lot of people tell me very hot. One of the advice we got is, you need to go to a place with AC. When people say go to a restaurant, make sure the restaurant has AC. We're just happy with whatever people want to offer, no problem. But the spirit is that if you can find a place where, for instance, the heat, that you're happy in the heat, you can relax in the heat, no problem. Some people like saunas. Sauna's very hot. People enjoy it, right? So it's just in the mind, a well-trained mind, a well-trained mind. Listen to the body. Don't fight with the body, right? Very useful. Another I found very important principle is as you start to listen to your body, you'll find that we have very habitual patterns. For instance, for myself, when I start to get irritated, I feel a muscle on my face right here tighten. So what do? When I feel this tendon here is tighten, I immediately stop. Whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm doing, okay, take a deep breath, sit up straight or stand up straight, relax. And if I'm still not doing so well, I say, I need to take a break. Give me a few moments, okay? Whatever I'm doing, just take a few moments. And I go to the side, maybe I go to the bathroom, take a deep breath, let me get some water, splash on my face, calm down a little bit, go back, and do whatever I'm doing. I tell you, makes a huge difference. Because when we don't catch ourselves getting irritated and then get angry and we say something, the karma of that anger can sometimes take a lifetime to heal. People start to be afraid of us and don't want to be true with us. And we start to feel very lonely because we no longer have this deep connection with the people around us, right? I'm very careful because, I'm now also a monk. And so as a monk, what I say can actually have a stronger impact on the people around me. So I need to be very careful. If I say something, I need to say it from a place that I know is coming from a good intention, in a gentle way, that really is helpful for other people. So that's the first one, somatic listening. And if that's the only thing you take away, I'll tell you, Amhitophel. Please, that's enough. If you just do that one practice, taking a deep breath and relaxing, staying grounded in your body, in your daily practice and also throughout your life, it will make a big difference. So we really you can do this for your daily practice. Before you start, really ground ourselves in the body. Just a few days ago, when a layperson came and asked, I have all this Dharma homework I have to do. I have to recite this mantra, do these things. I'm so stressed. Whenever I recite, I'm so tense. I said, just relax. I can't relax. That's so much homework. It's okay. Understand, cultivation isn't about how much you do. It's about the quality of your practice in the heart. You need to relax the body. You need to cultivate wholesome dharmas in your heart. Let go of unwholesome dharmas. That's the Dharma principle. It's not to add more stress in your life, right? And so before we start taking a deep breath, grounding ourselves in our body, I tell you, it also makes the practice much more enjoyable. It's not coming from obligation. is coming from this deep sense of groundedness. Empathic listening, listening to the heart. So we found this is also very important, and it connects with the 4 boundless hearts: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So Master Hua said we really, as Buddhist disciples, need to cultivate the 4 boundless hearts. But what I found when I started in the monastery, I didn't know how to cultivate the 4 boundless hearts. I knew how to cultivate the 4 stressful hearts. I forced myself, you better be like this, better be like this, right? I was meditating, and I said in my heart, I had this pressure that I had to meet my parents' expectations. I didn't want to waste my life. So I wasn't coming from a place of loving kindness. I was coming from a place of judgment, of external pressure. You can actually say that's actually the fighting mind. So we really need to start to listen to what's going on inside. So what this is we do a lot of training and learning how do we work with our emotions. Our emotions, right? Anger, fear, sadness, happiness, excitement. What we found very important is we need to be able to hear our emotions and not judge our emotions, not react to our emotions. We don't follow our emotions, we don't repress our emotions. We listen to our emotions. Our emotions are telling us what we really care about. If we don't care about something, we won't have emotions. If we were not, for instance, don't care about anything, it's very hard to get angry, right? Oftentimes, my mom cared deeply about my future. That's why she was so angry about me wanting to become a monk. And later, after many years of reflection, I was talking to another person, actually another mom, and she said, actually, your mom also was upset because your mom wants to have a long-term relationship with you. She had a very good friendship. She wants to have a long-term relationship with you. And you becoming a monk threatened that relationship. Right? I said, oh yeah, there's a sense of connection. And she thought she was going to lose that connection. I mean, just to tell you now, my mom actually now comes to the monastery. And she actually says, me becoming a monk is the greatest gift she got in her life. But that didn't come from me fighting with her. That came from me listening to her. I think I did what I bowed to grounded Bodhisattva, so that was also very helpful, I tell you. Honestly, I'm super grateful for Guanyin Bodhisattva because my relationship with my mom is way better than I ever imagined. When I was bowing to Guanyin Bodhisattva, I just was bowing and just hoping my mom would not be upset with me. And now she's actually very happy with me, which is way more than I ever dreamed of. So the second one, which is empathic listening, is we need to listen to what's going on in the heart. So we found, identify, how do I feel right now? Maybe I feel very happy. Or maybe I feel very sad. That's fine. We need to begin to be able to hear what's going on in our heart. And then, as we listen deeply into the feeling or the emotion, we say, what do I really care about? What is this emotion trying to tell me? And if you start to quiet down the heart and mind, you begin to hear what's going on in your heart more clearly. This is what I think meditation is really about, what our cultivation gives us the space to do. We begin to hear what's going in our heart much more clearly. We begin to find what are our true vows. What is our real purpose for being here? I tell you, it's not to make a lot of money, okay? It's also not to make your parents happy, because that's an endless project, right? We're not here to make other people happy. There's something deeper. And to be able to hear that, we need to be quiet. We need to have silence in the heart. We need to listen. Namo Guanxin Pusa. We need to listen. It's very clear, this principle. It's about letting go. It's not about getting stuff. This whole world is about getting more stuff, right? And I tell you, people are not getting happier. The more stuff they have, the more stuff they try to protect, and they hold on to more tightly. It's endless. You look at the richest people in the world, and you look at the most powerful people in the world, oftentimes they live in a lot of fear. They have to protect their house. They have to have bodyguards. They have all this stuff to protect themselves. Real protection isn't from creating external safety. It's coming from a heart that's free. That's why we're cultivating, letting go. The Heart Sutra says, right, there's nothing to attain, right? Nothing to attain. So the Bodhisattva is what? Cultivates prajna paramita. Bola bola ziduo, bola miduo, right? Prajna paramita is a profound letting go of all our attachments and projections to see things as they are. And when you see it, then you're free. Prajna paramita. And when you're free, you realize we're all interconnected, and you have great compassion to save all living beings, right? So this is the empathic listening. And this is a training. So in the monastery, we actually spend a lot of time, especially because we're in men's monastery, so we have a group of men. So we sit in a circle, and we ask, how are you feeling today? And interesting enough, for most men, at least in America, I don't know if this is the case in Malaysia, but often men don't know how to relate to their emotions. You know, we're not trained to work with our emotions. Women, I think, talk more about their emotions to each other, but men usually you don't, right? And so you say emotions, I'm okay, fine, you know. Oh, really? How do you feel in the body? Okay. But then once they get some trust, they start to really feel what's going on inside. And I tell you, it's very important. Because sometimes what we find is for men, let's say you're afraid, right? You really care about your son. But rather than expressing that care, saying, you know, son, I really care about your future. And, you know, can I help you? And then we talk about doing your homework to make sure you get a good grade in school. You scold them immediately, you do this wrong, da, da, da. So as a guy, we think anger is okay. Getting angry is what men can do, you know. Get very angry at my wife, you know, I'm the one who's right, you're wrong, you know. It's like, no, these are the people we care the most deeply about, right? Our family. Why don't we talk to them in a way that we really care about them? Not from a mindset that I'm right and you're wrong. Because when we start to think about I'm right, you're wrong, that's already the fighting mind. The moment we start to think I'm right, you're wrong, fighting mind. You're already preparing for a fight. This is like in the boxing ring. Before the boxing ring, you're already outside the boxing ring getting ready to fight, okay? And you're just going into the ring, and now I'm ready to give you a punch. I'm right, you're wrong, right? Let that go. We're here to care for everyone. So this is the empathic listening. Can we meet other people where they're at? People are different than us. They'll have different opinions. That's natural. We can learn from them. We can care about them. Like I said for my mom, I wanted to cultivate and go to the monastery, but my mom was very worried for me. One, she thought maybe I'd join a cult. Other thing, she thought, maybe I'd waste my life in the monastery. What would I be doing? Right? Okay. So she had a different perspective. In the beginning, I rejected her. I said, my parents are completely wrong. They live such stressful lives. I don't agree with them. I'm going to do my own thing. In America, we're very independent, right? So I do my own thing. My parents, they're wrong. I'll just ignore them. And I fought. I just forced my way. I tell you, that way doesn't work. You break the connection. And that happens, to me, very sadly, as an ABC, American-born Chinese in America. I see a lot of my generation did that with their parents. Because their parents have these Chinese expectations for their children. And we grew up with this American education of independence. So we feel our parents are constantly pressuring us to perform and meet their expectations. and kind of be a kind of showpiece, like a trophy for their friends to show off. Oh, you went to Harvard, or you went to Stanford, or you went to this or that, and we're like and so we don't want that. So we tell our parents, get out of our life. We don't even want to listen to you. And to me, it's so sad. Our parents, spend so much of our life making money, supporting us, giving us their love and care, and in the end, we don't even talk. To me, it's so painful. And it just comes from not having this empathic listening. We can't connect heart to heart, right? $4 million average, okay? $4 million, not ringgit. It's dollars. I know it's ringgit. It would be what, 4 to 1? Is it 4 to 1 ringgit? Right? So 16 million ringgit for a normal home. This is a 4-bedroom home. A 4-bedroom home, a normal home, okay? In a good school district. 16 million ringgit. How much hard work do parents have to make to maintain the house for their children to get an education? Right? College education, $50,000 a year, US dollars. That's 200,000 ringgit a year. How much money do they have to make for their kids to get an education? Right? As kids, for us not to be grateful, to me, is a big loss. That's 16 million ringgit, okay? And then school, $50,000 a year. Whatever story you want to tell, if you scold me, I don't have to believe your story. It's your story. You're angry? Okay. I let you be angry. But I can listen to your heart. I can meet you with kindness. And I tell you, amazing. You meet people with kindness, people don't know how to stay angry. They're like, okay, wow. So I really hear you're really upset with me because you really want me to respect. You really want me to respect the monastery's guidelines. Okay, I can do that. Okay, now what does the angry person do now? Okay, sure, and you do that consistently. You say, well, because I really value this relationship. I really respect you. You do that, I tell you, for 3 months in your family, with your husband, with your kids, with your parents, completely turn around your relationships. Shocking. I mean, we did this we had a training. We had one older gentleman who was a father, who was a CEO of a big company in China. He learned this, and he said, okay, I'm gonna call my kid. I'm gonna listen to him. So he called his kid, who's now took over the company when he left, because he wanted to come to the monastery. And he said to his son, son, I think over my life, I was very hard on you. I never really listened to you. I just want to hear, how's it going for you? His son's like, Dad? Is that you? Who is that? He's like, I don't know. I never heard my dad ever ask me before these questions, So no, I really want to just listen to what's going on in your life. How do you feel? And afterwards, he came back in our small group and says, this is the first time I actually listened to my son. Wow, I didn't know all this stuff about him. Right to me, it's oftentimes before his relationship with his son was, you better be doing this properly. You took over the company. You make sure you respect the customers. You take care of this. This is the supply chain, all their coworkers, make sure you take care of them, just constantly lecturing him. He asked him, called him and says, son, I just want to, I think over my lifetime with you, I was really tough on you. I just want to hear what's going on for you. The son's like, what? Is this my dad? Who is this? Right? And after he asked these questions, he's really connected. And he later says, I never actually heard my son before. He had a lot to say. First time I really connected to my son. That's why he told me, if you do this, I tell you, for children, for their father or their mother to authentically listen to them, wow, one of the biggest gifts in their life. There's money, but to have loving kindness and compassion listening to you as a person opens the heart, connects the heart. That's why Guanyin Bodhisattva, Guan Shi Ying, Guanyin Bodhisattva does not listen to us through her expectations. Right? We are not some product that Guanyin Bodhisattva wants to create. She's listening to our Buddha nature. When we listen, it doesn't mean we have to agree, because we're different people. That's fine. But to me, that respect, that sincerity of listening to the other person, that's essential for a relationship. So I'll just point to the number 3 and number 4 as a future thing we can share if people have time and interest. So number 3 is panoramic awareness or listening. And this, okay, so that's it. Empathic listening is not just for meditation. So meditating beforehand, what I find very helpful is first you relax the body, and then you really tune into this self-acceptance. I really care about myself. I really want to be happy, to be relaxed. I really cultivate to have my family be in harmony. I'm not cultivating out of an external pressure of somebody else's expectation. That's very important. You can do that in all your practices, and then you start to take that attitude throughout your whole day. The Shranga mantra is to protect the whole world, right? It's from loving kindness. Reciting this mantra protects this world, which is in a lot of suffering. So we come from that place. Okay, I'll be brief for number 3 and number 4. Panoramic listening is listening to the whole field. So when it's listening to the heart, the field is everything around us. Here in this room, there's everybody in this room. We have young children. We have venerables and monks. We have bhikshunis. We have elders. We are here in Dunbi and this beautiful monastery. We're in Malaysia. Panoramic awareness is we're aware of this whole field. In the Buddha's teachings, it's called sampajanya. Sometimes translated as clear comprehension or panoramic awareness. If you look in the Pali text, it says sati sampajanya. You train in sati sampajanya. This is very important for our cultivation as well. To me, it's being aware of the whole environment. So for me, very simple is when we do our retreats, or like we have a fahui, everyone helps to clean. Everyone takes care of the space together, not just one person. To me, that's training our awareness. If you're at home, the whole family takes care of the household, not just the mom, right? Because what happens is then the mom takes care of everything and the kid just becomes, I'm just doing my homework, and no longer has the panoramic awareness. Now there's a lot more here. To me, the precepts and all the rules of the monastery really train our sampajanya, our clear comprehension, this ability to see what's around us. Because we begin to observe, who's my senior? How do I relate to my senior? Who's my junior? How do I take care of them? It begins to tune our heart so that our heart's not small, but expansive. So this awareness we train is very important to train in. Because especially for younger generation, we lost our panorama. We just only have one awareness, which is this awareness. That's number 3. Number 4, I'll just show this, but then I don't have time to go into super depth. But if you look at the Shrangama Sutra, if people know, Guanyin Bodhisattva in the Shrangama Sutra becomes awakened through listening to her nature, through the hearing nature. So I'll just read this section to finish as the sacred listening. Sacred listening is when we start to recite the Buddha's words, right? When we recite the Buddha's, we recite the sutras, we are actually embodying the Buddha's wisdom. Right? The Buddha said these words, and we now have a chance to say these words ourselves. How sacred is that? Right? When we start to meditate, we begin to tap into something deeper than just our ego. It's going beyond the self. So I just look at this. So Guanyin Bodhisattva turns her hearing inward to enter the current of sages. External sounds disappear, and as the directions of my hearing reversed and with sound stilled, both sound and silence ceased to arise. It was that as I gradually progressed, what I heard and my awareness of what I heard came to an end. So you notice the duality starts to break down. Even when that state of mind in which everything had come to an end disappeared, I did not rest. My awareness and the objects of my awareness were emptied. When that process of emptying my awareness was wholly complete, was wholly complete, then even that emptying and what was emptied vanish. 甚至空都被空了. Coming into being, and here it says, ceasing to be, themselves cease to be. Then the ultimate stillness was revealed. So in this Shrangama Sutra, it gives us a methodology through the listening, through this deep listening, to realize our nature. And Guanyin Bodhisattva said at that point, she connected to the wondrous enlightened mind of all the Buddhas and gained their power of compassion and connected to all the suffering of living beings. So this was Guanyin Bodhisattva's method for practice. So as I said, sacred listening. So this dedication of merit is wonderful because it's not just Buddhists can do it, everyone can do it. And I was really touched after we taught it. One of the fathers had little kids, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Every night, him and his son sing this before they go to bed. So much that before they sing it, the son goes, "Oh, Dad, we haven't done May We." So it's a beautiful song to embody this care for each other. So what I'll do is call and response. So I'll say a line, and please repeat after me. And as I said, most important, first, breathe in, relax the body, right? Connect to this heart of kindness and care. We can expand our hearts throughout the universe to all living beings and know that ultimately we have the Buddha nature. Connect to the sacred, and we'll sing this together. So first time, call and response. Second and third time, we do it together. Okay. May we be safe and protected. Your turn. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm, from inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful, and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong. May we be healthy and strong, and physically at ease, and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being, and live with well-being. So 2 more times. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harms. All together. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. May we be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May we be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May we be healthy and strong and physically at ease. May we take care of ourselves and live with well-being. So 3 bows to the Buddha. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master.